the infamous Mobb Deep album. You know what I'm saying? Let's get into that. The infamous Mobb Deep album. Well, basically, we got like 12, 13 songs on there, you know what I mean, straight from the heart, all produced by me and my partner, you know what I'm saying. We do all the production, we do all the lyrics, you know what I'm saying, we do it all ourselves. I got a little studio in my basement, so we just make everything there first, then we take it to the big studio, you know what I'm saying, lay it all down, you know what I'm saying. Word up, it's all about taking care of your business, you know what I'm saying.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening, thank you for downloading, and thank you for subscribing to the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm 12 Kyle. Check this out. On this podcast, we're going to take it back. We're taking it back to April 25th, 1995. The second studio album from Mobb Deep comes out. The album is called The Infamous, and it is a hip-hop classic. And we're going to talk about it and break it down. And I've got my partner in crime, Eclectic. He's in the house. So after the break, we're going to break it down and celebrate The Infamous 25 years later, right here on the 12 Kyle podcast. Let's get it. And just like that, we are back. Once again, it's your boy 12 Kyle. This is the 12 Kyle podcast, and we are taking it back. As I mentioned in the intro, this album, The Infamous, from Mobb Deep, is turning 25 years old. The album was released in the year of 1995, April 25th to be exact, 1995. And man, I got my boy in the building. He's in the house. Eclectic, say what up to the people.
Yeah, what's up, everybody? I am the war that was going on outside.
What's good, man? What's cracking?
Yeah, shit, chilling. Just ready to wax poetic about this album. It's a great album. 95 was a great year. So yeah, let's get it.
No doubt, no doubt. Like you said, man, 1995, April 25th, Mobb Deep released their second album. And again, it was called The Infamous. And so I guess we probably should start right there, man. Now, if anyone listening, if you've been following both me and Eclectic, you might remember we had a little battle. We had a 3-podcast series battle between music that came out in 1995 and music that came out in 1996. Mm-hmm. Now, if you listen to the battle, you know who won. Mm-hmm. So I'll just leave that at that. Mm-hmm. But nonetheless, when you finish this podcast, if you haven't heard it, you can go back and listen. But one of the albums, a couple of the songs that Eclectic went to bat for from 1995 actually came from this album. So, man, let's take it back to 1995, man. What do you remember about that year in hip hop? Because I know you, like I said, in our battle that we talked about those years, 95 and 96, going against each other, you spoke very, very highly of the year 1995. So what do you remember about that year?
Well, I mean, 1995 was superior to 1996. It came first. But for a hip hop album to come out, it was a lot of competition. It was a lot of competition from everywhere, the West, South. You had all types of styles. You still had different styles back then in '95. You didn't have to sound like whoever was popular in order to get on. But I will say, due to the fact that Illmatic came out a year prior, and Ready to Die came out a year prior, the emphasis on lyricism in the East was becoming more important than it was in, say, 91 and 92. So in 95, you had, I mean, this was the boom of the mixtapes. So you had your mixtapes and your features and your songs you never heard before, songs that the DJ stole from somewhere. So
right.
they didn't have the right name on it because they just listened to the song and whatever the person said a whole bunch of times, that's what they wrote on there. Like, nah, this is what the name of the song is. And so when the Infamous came out, I put the Infamous as probably the second best hip hop album to come out in 1995. I think it's my second favorite, but I also think it's the second best. Number one being the Purple Tape. I think my top five would go Purple Tape, Infamous, 456, Liquid Swords, and either Mr. Smith or Do or Die.
Yes.
But even with that, a lot of other things came out. Me Against the World came out. Soul Food came out.
Yes.
Do You Want More? East 99 Eternal came out.
And that too.
Showbiz and AG. I love the Showbiz and AG, the Goodfellas album.
Yes.
That came out. Top of the World, the 8-Ball MJG.
Hey, now you're talking.
In a Major Way, E40. In a Major Way, it slept on. The Karis One album came out.
What was that, Edutainment?
Karis One.
Okay, yeah.
And what would probably be my number 6 album, Jealous One's Envy.
Fat Joe.
That album is incredible. So 95 was stacked. Even the Junior Mafia dropped. I mean, it was stacked as far as music. So 95 was crazy.
Yeah, you rolled off some good ones, man. It was definitely a great year. And I think we both can agree that, music was, and hip hop was starting to turn, some say for the better, some say for the worse, but we still got some great albums in the middle of 1995, wherein if you compare the music from 1995 to 4 years later, heading into 1999 and then 2000, there's a stark difference between what hip hop sounded like then and how it sounded a mere 4 to 5 years later.
It's basically because the South has something to say.
Come on, man, stop now. You let it be known then.
They let it be known and fucked hip hop up.
Oh my God. So anyway, the Infamous, man, it comes out April 25th, 1995. As I mentioned, this was their second major release. The first album was Juvenile Hell, which an album, to be honest, man, I think I've only heard this album maybe 3 or 4 times. Like, it was something, I got the Infamous and then I had to go back to Juvenile Hell. But what did you think, like, when you first got upon this Infamous album?
I thought that it was different. It was crazy. That even though, like I said, Ready to Die and Illmatic and 36 Chambers, they already come out. They already dropped. The Infamous is the album that I think stylized what New York hip hop was about to be, more so than Illmatic, 36 Chambers, and Ready to Die, because this was return of the boom bap. We gon' rap your ass off, we're gonna rap your face off, and we don't necessarily even care if you throw us on the radio or if you keep playing it. These are just the songs and this is just our style. We not switching it up for nobody. We just rhyming, having some good times, telling you what's going on in the streets, what we see, more so than other one. Illmatic was close to that, but Illmatic is more polished than Infamous. Infamous is like, damn, they just taped that. They just had play and record on the street and just started rapping.
Right.
Because Having P, they were like the new gutter EPMD. They, without the fun, they just had the monotone flows, the hard beats, and it wasn't a lot of pop. And I mean, like, pop. It was just nothing polished about that album. So when I heard them, it was just like, wow, this is gritty. I like this. It like reminded me of old Just Ice and Karis and things like that. It's so basically, this is more. If I'm comparing it to like Illmatic and Ready to Die, this would be more criminal minded, and Illmatic would be more paid in full.
That's a great analogy. I agree, man. I think the first time I heard it, I was in college at the time at South Carolina State University, and I'd never heard anything like this. Like it was. I was intrigued because, like you said, for one, I knew where they were from. They were from Queens, from Queensbridge in particular. So I knew they were down with Nas. So, it was kind of like how it was for us back in the 80s, where if someone was down with somebody, then you automatically kind of, you check for them because you knew that they were down with them. So if you like somebody, and I loved Nas at the time, so I'm like, okay, if they down with Nas, they got to be dope, right? So it was... I really didn't know that much about them. I just knew they were from Queensbridge, and I heard that they could rap. And I remember buying the CD, man, and I was just like, yo, I had never heard anything like this before. And like you said, it was just really, really grimy, dark, crazy ass beats. And we'll get into production in just a second. But, in case you're listening, you don't know who Mobb Deep is, and I'm sorry for not saying it, but it's Havoc and Prodigy, rest in peace. And both guys were, very distinctive in their sound and how they rhymed. And these stories that they were telling, it was really, really dark, but it was also, they also had fun and stuff like that. And it was just, and it goes back to something that you said on a previous podcast that we did. Like, I didn't know how old these guys were. I assumed that they were a lot older than what they were, but I think they were probably about the same age as me at the time that they made this album. So, but like you said, it was a great movement or a step in the right direction for East Coast hip hop. And again, this album comes after Ready to Die, comes after Illmatic, but it comes before, the likes of Reasonable Doubt. So you had them in the middle, and then some of the features that they have, and we'll talk about that when we talk about the track listing, working with guys like from Wu-Tang and things of that nature, made this album that much more special. Obviously, when you talk about this album, one of the things that you can't get away from is the production. The production is bananas. Most of the album is, self-contained because it's being produced by Mobb Deep, meaning Havoc and Prodigy, who also, lend his hand as far as the production. Q-Tip produced, let me see, 1 or 2 tracks on here, but it's mostly Mobb Deep, man. What did you think about this production on this album?
Well, first, when this came out, they were both 21.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I think I was 21.
The production, you didn't hear beats like this on a whole album. You would hear their beats would be, oh nah, they about to get grimy on this song,
right?
And it would be that song. It might be 2 songs. It might be like, oh now this is they ain't messing around, because a lot of the other songs, like I said, I hate to keep using this word, was polished. This was your entry to Havoc's production style, and Q-Tip cleaned up a lot of it after the songs were done, changing some drums and stuff. But this was Havoc style, so you never heard it before, and afterwards you can start telling Havoc beats or Havoc production, because it just has a feeling. The whole album is a mood. I can see and I'm assuming we're gonna get into track for track.
We will.
As you get into the album, some of the songs start to blend together, and I could see how some people could get bored or tired of these songs because the whole album is a mood. It's not trying to switch. It's not gonna switch up too much on you. If you like this kind of production, you're gonna love the album. If you just tolerate the production, you're like, man, I'm gonna need them to get out of here for a little bit, but it's just again, his production reminds me of the old Boogie Down Productions production a little bit, and some of the later Eric Sermon, DJ Scratch, Redman stuff with the muddy bass, and it was, it's some of the heavy stuff is like eerie. It is. He scored a horror film, and he could use a lot of this shit for like a horror film.
Right. That's a great analogy, man, because it sounds just like that. Like you said, it sounds like it's something that should have been in a horror movie. And, again, we didn't have the internet back in 1995, so I had no idea how old these dudes were when I saw the video for the first time. I think the first video I saw was probably Survival of the Fittest, I guess. Shook Ones. It probably was Shook Ones then. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Remember, though, they made the singles before the album came out, and my man said, "I'm only 19, but my mind is old." And then, like a year and a half later, he said.
Exactly. So, and that's crazy because it's like when you listen to it, it would make you think that someone probably a lot more older than 19, 20, 21 years old is making this music. But like you said, a lot of the stuff is very dark and it sounds like a horror movie or something that would be in a horror film, but it's these tracks. And then when you add in the verses of what they're actually talking about over this, I mean, it makes for great theater, if you will, for your ears.
I'm gonna tell you this. I almost didn't really fuck with them.
How so?
Well, what happened was I heard Mobb Deep on dumb logo. I heard like the Juvenile Hell and all that shit, but not really knowing who they were. So one day, the Shook Ones video came on, but I was like, I think I was like cleaning the dorm room or something. I had the volume down, and I'm just, I look over, and dude got the Hennessy, the do-it-yourself Hennessy, misspelled Hennessy jersey on, drinking out a plastic cup on it. I'm like, man, what kind of bargain brand generic niggas is this? And then when it flashed on the thing, it said the name was like Mobb Deep. I was like, man, I ain't even listening to them. I don't care who they are. They look wild, dumb. And so then I think it was like the next day, because back then, if you missed in the 90s, if you missed a video, it's going to be back on later on that day or the next day. Right. In the 80s, if you missed a video, you may never see it again.
Never.
It's still videos. I wish I could. There's videos I can't even name that I saw that I want to see again, but I don't even know the name of it because I only saw it once and they didn't put the shit at the end.
There's probably some videos that were made and you probably saw them, and then when you see them again, like, oh, they made a video for that?
Right. But so like the shit came on again, and I was, they put the thing at the bottom, like, oh, it's these motherfuckers. And then I actually heard, I was like, oh, this is dope. And so but yeah, I was judging the book by the cover at the beginning because I had the volume. And I was like, I never want to hear these guys.
Right. Wow. So we both were in college at the time, and I know, like, for me, there were a lot of cats in school that was really fucking with Mobb Deep. What about you? And I know you with you being at Grambling, was it something where they were popular, or was there anybody in your crew that was listening to it, or were you like one of the few people in your area that was actually listening to Mobb Deep?
Nah, because down there you had your sects of
Mm-hmm.
people. So everybody in my crew were from New York.
Okay.
I was the only one in the crew that was not from New York, and I'm talking every borough. And
Wow.
so at any point it could have been like 10, 12 of us, and they all from New York. I'm not. But meanwhile, I'm the one putting them on and shit. Like, yo, like, yo, listen to this. Like, yeah, they be like, yo, are you from Ohio? I had a Clue tape before us. Like, don't worry.
Shout out to Clue.
Don't worry about that. Anyway, just listen. And so, but nah, everybody was rocking with them, and my crew. And you know, some of the South people was rocking with them. Yeah. It wasn't. I never heard anyone say that they were whack or turn it off.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I same like you. I didn't. Well, most of my crew was from, I guess, pretty much everywhere. But we had a lot of cats from New York at South Carolina State University, so they would play it, but I was playing it too, and it was like, I think there was like you said, I can't ever remember anybody saying it was whack or like turn that shit off. When it did get played, when Mobb Deep, you know, as the years went on and this album got bigger, when you would play the cuts at the parties and stuff, man, people loved it. So it was like, it wasn't like it was something where people wasn't really feeling it. I always think, you know, I always try to see how that is, especially given the fact that both of us were, you know, in school in the South. At historically black colleges, and how the music as far as hip hop is received sometimes when you have New York acts. And, you know, just to keep in mind for those of you listening who may not have been around at the time, this is 95. So this, I hate using East Coast, West Coast, but that whole thing is starting to become a thing.
But see, that's the thing. Around this time, it wasn't.
Right. It wasn't. Mobb Deep had, you know, they came on the scene and they were just repping Queensbridge. So it wasn't like, you know, it was like, you know, I mean, obviously down the road, they had their issues with Pac and the whole nine. But at this particular time, everything was cool. And they, like I said, they were well received, man, well loved. And I think this album initially went gold. Which honestly is saying a lot because they really don't have the quote unquote traditional radio hit. I mean, their biggest hit sounds like you said, something out of a horror movie. So, but yeah, it was really, really dope. I tell you what, this is a great place to take a quick commercial. We'll hear from Mobb Deep, and on the other side, man, me and E are going to break down these tracks as we celebrate the infamous 25 years later. So sit tight. We'll be back in just a second.
How would you describe the Mobb Deep sound?
It's like an underground sound, you know what I'm saying? What make us different that we keeping it real with our music, you know what I'm saying?
And word up. It's all about, you know what I'm saying, our music is all about street life, you know what I'm saying, the ups and the downs, the good times, the bad times, you know what I'm saying, and, you know what I'm saying, we talking about the drug game, you know, how people getting killed, how brothers are getting killed. We talk about how we can better ourselves and further your mind, you know what I'm saying. Start, you know what I'm saying, our brothers need to start reading more, acquire mad knowledge in their head, you know what I'm saying, so they can take their, you know what I'm saying, take their life to where they want to go. You can achieve anything you want to achieve in life.
And just like that, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks again for checking out the latest edition of the 12 Kyle podcast. I'm your boy 12 Kyle. Got my man Eclectic in the building.
Yep.
And we are talking about the infamous 25 years later. That's right. Mobb Deep's classic album is turning 25. And we're here to talk about it, man. So before the break, I told you that we would be coming back and talking about and breaking down these tracks. We talked a little bit about the production, but I really want to get into it, man. So let's get it started. The first track. Before you
hit the first
go
track,
go ahead.
I don't know if you noted this earlier, but debut album, When It Mattered, 4.5, 4.5 mics.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. That I did not know.
Yeah.
Wow.
4.5 debut.
So we go into track 1, Start of Your Ending, in the 41st side. That kind of came on like at the beginning. It sounded like some type of interlude, but then they go into rhyming and everything. What do you think about the opening track for the album?
I loved it because, one, it didn't sound like anything that I heard before. You're right. It sounded like they was just gonna do a little intro and then the second song was gonna come on. But meanwhile, it's like a damn near 5-minute song.
Right.
And the beat, great. The rhymes, it was a great introduction to what you were about to hear, to who they were, and to their sound. I mean, I love that semi-auto. You could bring it on, yo. That's just incredible.
No doubt. I loved it, man. I remember listening to it like the first couple of times I heard it. I was like, wait a minute. Okay, it sounds like an intro. And then they start rhyming. I'm like, okay, this is where we going? Like, I wasn't really sure what I was listening to at first. And because, again, I remember buying this album, not really having much background on them other than the fact that they were from Queensbridge and they were down with Nas. And I saw, I looked on the back of the CD packaging. I saw a couple of features, which, honestly, 95, I didn't care about features. None of us did really. But given the fact on who the features were, I knew that, this album had a chance to be special. So then go ahead. I'm sorry.
I caught the joint on the strength of the Source.
Okay.
I saw 4.5. I'm like, 4.5. Reading about it. I'm like, nah, I gotta have it.
Yeah, man. And that. Shout out to the Source, man. Back then, we really. I know I did. I don't know about you, but a lot of times. Yeah, I bought albums based on, because a lot of what I read in the Source, the mic system was, generally in my line of thinking. So the albums that were like 4 or better, I would always buy, even if I didn't know anything about the artist. I would actually, and keep in mind, I'm a college student, so I don't have a lot of money. But other than the record store scam I was running, but we're not talking about that. But nonetheless, I would buy these albums, and this one, like you said, 4.5 mics out the gate for this album. Then we go into track 2, the infamous Prelude. This one. They're talking shit. I mean, you go from that one track to, Prodigy just talking mad shit. And it's like, he's like, I don't care. He starts talking. You'd have to hear the interlude, but it is definitely a prelude as for what is to come. Then we go to track 3.
Hold, please.
Okay.
2 things.
Mm-hmm.
The infamous Prelude. Few things were funnier than start punching niggas in the face for living.
Go back to high school, start punching niggas in the face for living.
Also, for the people who will go back and listen to this, or for the people who were outside when this was out and knew, he was talking about Keith Murray and Redman.
Now, Redman, I did not know. I heard that it might be about Keith Murray, but how did Redman get involved in this?
Because of the talking about how much you get high. He took offense to that, and he knew that he was talking about Keith Murray, about the space shit. Mm-hmm. And so, rumor has it, allegedly, Redman and Keith stepped to him at the tunnel after this, and things happened, and things got squashed. You know,
Okay.
later on in life, the next year, Prodigy and Keith Murray were on LL I Shot You remix together.
True indeed.
And as soon as Keith Murray finished his verse, Prodigy started taking shots at Keith Murray on his verse. So then they had beef again.
How you could be on the same track with me dissing me?
I don't know. Ask Cannabis. So
look at you. I said, you know what? That's a layup. That's a layup.
Anyway, go ahead. Or ask Craig Mack.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead. My bad.
No. That's a great piece of information. I want to say I heard that it was about Keith Murray, but I didn't know Red. But then again, I guess, Redman and Keith Murray ran together back then. So I would, if you got beef with one person in the crew, maybe you might have beef with the whole crew. I don't know. That's dope. I totally forgotten about that. Then we get into track 3, Survival of the Fittest. Man,
another horror movie.
What did you think when you heard this song, man?
First, I'm like, well, shit. Michael Myers is about to come out,
right.
So the song started. But Prodigy has a knack for starting his verses off incredible. Mm-hmm. And I saw the video, and video had a small cameo by Puff. Puff was in the video, and I was like, "Oh shit, they know Puff." That's cool. But I love the song. Here's a question: what do you think is the better opening? There's a war going on outside, or I got you stuck off the realness?
There's a war going on outside. Because he said no man is safe from. So you can't avoid it. And I mean, like, that on so many levels spoke to me about, what, because when I hear these albums and these songs from these artists, particularly that I did not know, and they grew up in parts of the country or the world that I did not frequent. So he's taking me to Queensbridge, and when he talks about a war going on outside, like, you think about, violence and the crack era and all of this stuff like that. And so I have a pretty vivid imagination. So I'm imagining all of these things as he's lyrically describing it to me. So I could actually picture in a sense his neighborhood that he was talking about. Now I'm trying to as I'm listening, I'm trying to relate to what it is he's saying. So that always got me, man. It always got me.
I loved I'll touch you and leave you with not much to go home with.
Man, oh, God, yeah. But that I'd have to go with that, man. There's a war going on outside. No man is safe from. Sheesh. Yeah, but it was.
But what about put us together like
mixing vodka and milk? Now keep in mind, I didn't drink at the time, so I'd never heard of the idea of people drinking vodka and milk together, which is a thing in the South, I guess.
It's not a thing in the South. It's a White Russian.
But you know what's funny? Like,
it's a drink.
Well, you know what? And the reason why I equated it to the South was that I had 3 friends, and I went to all 3 of their houses, and their mother and grandmothers were all drinking. Just like they didn't have they had the cheap vodka and milk, and I was like, ugh, vodka and milk, like it was just so foreign to me. But yeah, I mean I know what it is now, but it was just like I just always associated with the South. I don't know why.
I think that I think Survival of the Fittest is one of the few songs that Havoc went toe to toe with Prodigy on the lyrics.
He did, and he held his own, man. I mean, like it wasn't, and I think both of them are very, very dope lyricists. But yeah, man, I love. This is one of my favorite tracks on the album. Incredible banger, still bangs to this day. Then we move to track 4. An Eye for an Eye, Your Beef is Mine, featuring Nas and Raekwon. I remember the first time that I heard this song, I was blown away. Like, I just I kept playing it over and over and over. And you know how, like, sometimes when you listen to an album for the first time, you start picking out the tracks that you like in your mind, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go back to that first. I'm gonna go back. This was when I finished the album the first time and I listened to it. This was the first track that I went back to, because this joint is so cold. Man, what can I say? I mean, you got Mobb Deep, Raekwon, and Nas. It really doesn't get much better than that. Nas's verse is incredible. Raekwon's verse is incredible. He ends it with what? I don't know, man. So much I can say. What about you, man? What do you think? Because I think I know what you're gonna say, but what do you think about this track, man?
Well, people in the mid '90s, anytime that you heard or read that Nas was featured on a song, you knew that was the song to look forward to. That's when you got this album, you started off and you're like, yeah. And so then after Survival to Finish, like, here it comes. Mm-hmm. Everybody start paying attention. Here it comes. And you don't know what verse he's gonna have. You just listening. And then it seems like every time when his verse start, everybody just gets happy and just start shaking their head, nodding their head extra hard. This was peak. This was Esco.
Yes.
Eye for an Eye is top 5 my favorite song in 1990. I mean, of the 90s.
That's saying a lot.
It's definitely top 10. I'm saying it's top 5. I love Eye for an Eye. That song will always get me in a good mood. It'll always get me hyped anytime. If I'm driving somewhere and I'm a little tired, nodding off, I throw that song on, I'm good. If I needed something when I got up in the morning, if I needed a little, I throw this on, I'm good. I think that this song is superior to 1995's Nas feature on the Purple Tape Verbal Intercourse. I think this is superior to that, mainly because his Verbal Intercourse verse is kind of a recycled verse. But and this song, Raekwon murdered this song. You could tell that he bodied this because he went last. so normally in a situation like this, Nas would go last. He would be the anchor.
Right.
He's the biggest feature on the song and the album. Mm-hmm. But in my brain, Raekwon came in and it was like, nah, you gotta go last with that. And that's what the way I think, the what at the end of it wasn't written. He just knew he killed that so hard that he was just like, what? Like, I can just picture just pushing the microphone out the fucking way. Like, man, nah, I just did it. But I love this song. This song makes the album for me.
Yes.
And this song does not get enough credit. I don't hear this song talked about a lot when you talk about, if you want to say posse cut or collaborations, because this was just sick. They had the Queen's connection with Mobb, and then Raekwon was on the same label, so that's how they got them. And you basically, the only thing was missing is Biggie. You had the biggest people of the night. So Illmatic came out, that's Nas, and into the 36 Chambers came out, that's Raekwon. The only thing that was missing was having Biggie on the damn song.
You're right.
The song is just incredible. And if you get a chance to listen to the original version with the different Prodigy verse, you're in for a treat.
Okay. So just so I'm clear, who had the best verse? I like it when I make him sigh. When he's sighing, he's thinking.
drug dealer's dream. Cash keys on the triple beam. 500 that's green. 5 nickel gleam. Condominium young thug dressed like a gentleman. Telling me house to Chanel from a woman friend. Murdering numbers on your head. You know, I'm gonna go Raekwon.
So this is now that is a surprise because, you know, I'm pretty sure you were dressed in tailor-made ostrich back in the day, and you had Chanel for your women friends.
No, I didn't. But before you finish that thought, I'm giving it to Raekwon on the strength of the flow. He had like a melody going for himself through it, and how he started and ended the verse. He ended it with the what, but he started with the hold up and then
yes.
I gotta give it. I'm giving it to Raekwon. And Nas doesn't lose on collabs.
Nope.
I only got like 3 he's lost on.
Well, we know one of them.
We got this one. We got Life's.
Right.
And we got John Blaze.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, man, I agree, man. And that's tough for me to say because I love Nas's verse, but yeah, Raekwon got him slightly, but he got him. But Nas's verse is so cool. I mean, like you said, this is my favorite song on the album. Much to the surprise of a lot of people will say, you know, other songs we'll get into, but for me, for my dime, for what it's worth, this is my favorite song. Then we go to track 5, Just to Step Prelude. Mobb Deep does a good job of having these, you know, interludes in there, just like guys from the hood just talking shit.
Well, the dope thing about this was 2 things. They named their preludes, but like they weren't songs. Nope. This is like, so they had the infamous prelude, but the song afterward wasn't like the infamous, right? And it's just that prelude. The song after this, well, it was just that, but it was just that in parentheses. But the thing I like about this was they were rhyming, like, you know, freestyle ish, you know, no beat. You know, they're obviously written because supposedly, so this is the first time we hear Noid. Right. So supposedly that verse is one that Noid used to always do on the block when they were battling or whatever. Okay. And so they just put it on there. But the dope thing about it is the rhymes that they were doing, that was it. That was the only time you heard them. It wasn't like we heard them on the next song or the next album. People don't do that no more. If you hear freestyle, now you're gonna hear it on that's from a song. Right. Yeah, you're gonna hear that song at some point coming down the pipe. Yeah, but you know, back in these days, you know, like, nah, I got plans, power movement, you know, and then it's like, that's it. All right. Exactly. And just like you said, that led to the next track featuring the aforementioned Big Noid, Give Up the Goods, Just a Step. Man, this joint is so dope. Love this joint, man. This was, like you said, it's my first time hearing Big Noid. This joint was produced by Q-Tip. So there's another Queens connection there because Q-Tip obviously is from Queens as well. What did you think about this one, man? Another example of starting a song right. Da-da. Yo, Queens get the money, long time, no cash. So, I mean, if you start a verse off right, it makes you feel good about the whole song. This is true. Pull out my heat first, he put out his heat last. So who the fuck you think is living to this day? Trying to tell these young niggas crime don't pay. So, yeah, man. And again, then we get Noid. you don't know who Big Noid is. The only thing you're thinking is Dominoes.
Right.
So,
the Noid.
Yeah.
Avoid the Noid. Oh man.
And so, but back here, you give them a shot, be like, all right, let me see who this dude is.
Mm-hmm.
Nowadays, you listen like, who he about to run the song? Oh, nobody know who this guy is, huh?
Right.
But we're like, all right, let's see. And for the people, his name's not Noid. He's the rapper Noid.
Right.
And then he turned into Big Noid.
Big Noid.
But he was the rapper Noid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he got busy on this song. So yeah, I'm rolling.
He did. Yeah, another banger. For what it's worth, to be honest, as we talked a little earlier about the production, Give Up the Goods and the next track, Temperatures Rising, I guess you could say they're a little bit more, the beats are a little bit more happier.
well, you could say that. Also, one of my favorite things in the song, My Philadelphia is healthier, P's not helping you, I'm trying to get dyslexic.
Yes.
Plus a cellular. Man, when everybody didn't have a cell phone,
Nope.
Cell phone was a luxury.
I didn't get my cell phone until like 2000.
It's amazing how in rap you can, depending on when you listen to it, you can find out what was the hot shit and what was a luxury when you compare it to now.
Mm-hmm.
Like what's my shit? Coogee rap. Was it Ill Street Blues? Was it Ill Street Blues? No, it was what's the name? No, it might have been. It said, a little kid says, yo, I got a Sony TV, CD player, and car stereo, and all I want is a castle. Also got a 38, don't give me no hassle. He was bragging about having a color TV and a car stereo. Like, yeah, look what I got.
Yeah,
but,
something big to have a color TV.
But so back to what you were saying, the reason is because Give Up the Goods and Temperatures Rising were Q-Tip productions. Mm-hmm. That's why they were happier. Mm-hmm. It ain't because it was just like, nah, then they thought they would come in and no, it was because happy ass Kamal the Abstract.
There you go.
Wanted to fuck up. I hate Q-Tip.
Stop it.
How can you watch Beats Rhymes' life and not dislike him?
I mean, you know what? To be honest, when I saw it, I had already had my preconceived notions about who I thought Q-Tip was, so I wasn't really surprised. So I didn't.
We about to lay this album down. Who's that? Oh, that's he the new member. Wait, what?
Oh, but that's another story for another day, man.
Now. Yeah, you ain't got no verses on this. I just made him.
Put my cousin on here. Okay, so yeah, like you said, we go into, and that's actually a great point because Q-Tip does produce 3 tracks on this album: Give Up the Goods, Temperatures Rising,
the happiest motherfuckers on here.
Yeah, exactly. The happiest tracks, and then another track that he produced, Drink Away the Pain. So all of those are they're not even poppy tracks. They're just, like you said, they're just a more up tempo, more upbeat, happier sounds, if you will. Temperatures Rising is track 7 with Crystal Johnson. They actually used a sample from the great Patrice Rushen, who was a crush of mine as a child. What did you think about Temperatures Rising, man?
I thought Temperatures Rising was great.
Yeah.
I bought the maxi single.
Oh shit.
Of Temperatures Rising that had like, I want to say like three remixes of it. Mm-hmm. And 3 or 4 remixes of it, and every remix was dope. And like, I think 2 of them was better than the album version. I wish they would have swapped those out. But yeah, Temperatures Rising is like their One Love. By the way, guess who produced One Love?
You stupid.
So take that however you want to take that. But nah, I love the song. Song's dope.
Yeah, man. Same here, man. I loved it. It's Crystal Johnson on the hook. They just, like you said, they managed to infuse those two tracks in the middle of it. So the sound quality is, you're going from dark to happy, and then you're going to get dark and grimy again. But it does not. It goes back to a little something that you mentioned earlier, like, you know, it's not overkill of the dark sound from Havoc. So it's a break, if you will. So they can kind of, you know, so the listener can kind of come back to something different or whatever in what they're hearing. And then you go to track number 8, Up North Trip. Man, listen.
Man, listen.
Love this joint, man. This is my joint. Another banger, man. Another banger. And what they're rhyming about, you know, I think one of the things that really impressed upon me as the more and more I listened to this was not just the sound quality of the production, but actually what they were what they were rhyming about, and the street life and everything like that. And again, it's 1995. I don't know these guys, so I'm not taking everything they're saying literally, but they paint a picture of their neighborhood in Queensbridge that made me like, damn, how the hell do you live through that? And they were really good storytellers. What did you think about Up North Trip, man?
Not only were they really good storytellers, well, because of that, this album, more so than a lot of albums, I mean, a lot of more popular albums and albums after that, this let the listener know who they were and what they saw. This was an introduction to them. This debut album was, look, this is us, and after this, anything else you hear from us, you'll know it's us. Like, they didn't just make an album to sell, you know, go platinum or blow up on the radio. They just made an album. This was super throwback to, I'm making an album because we like rhyming and we want to report what we're seeing. It's just like Illmatic. This is what Illmatic was, what Nas saw out his window, and the Infamous is what Mobb Deep saw on the block. Yeah, you know, and they were like standing outside of his window. It's crazy, man. The song Up North Trip is crazy.
Yeah.
Up North is going to jail, by the way, everyone.
Yeah, especially for those of you who weren't outside, you may not know that, but yeah. I agree, man. It was that song just, and I think that's where where they were just like you said, they were at the point where like, okay, this is who we are. Okay, we gave you the happy shit. Now let's get back to the grind. And it really goes from there. And then you go into from Up North Trip to track 9, Trife Life.
Great use of You Are My Starship.
Yes. I'll say this. Trife Life probably was when I started to get fearful. Listening to it. I'm like, yo, what I mean, because it is so dark and grimy on this track, man. And what they're talking about, like, I'm like, I'm as we're talking about this, I'm just reflecting on like my first couple of listens, and I'm just like, what? Again, we hadn't heard any for whatever you thought, you know, about Illmatic. This wasn't it. So again, these guys, I'm thinking, okay, these guys are down with Nas. They got Nas on here. It's gonna be similar or kind of in the ballpark of Illmatic. It wasn't, but it was so dope. But the way it sounded was just so dark and so crazy. But they had you on every verse because you were still intrigued as to what they had to say, man. What did you think about this track?
Yeah, I was listening to the whole like first verse, waiting for him to see if he was gonna get set up by the chick.
Yes.
I'm like, oh shit, what's the chick up to? But the thing about the verses, you get engrossed in what he's saying, and I was telling some people, and this is a behind the scenes look at how future podcast trying to come up with what's the criteria for the greatest of all time as far as a rapper. And I asked a few people, give me 5 things, and one of the things that nobody that I asked came up with except for me, because I'm incredible, is you have to have a minimum of I think I said 3 dope story rhymes.
I didn't say that?
Nah, you weird.
Okay, I should have said that.
And even if you did, you didn't say it. So being able to tell a story is fundamental in hip hop, and it's a lost art now, and that's why the shit sucks now.
Nobody tells stories now.
But because when you listen to Trife, when you first listen to it, you're like, well, shit, nah, girl, nah. Wait a minute, nah. Then what happened? Hey, he take you to the train station, all this stuff. So something like that is dope. Music is an escape, and hip hop was always technically was the majority of it when it started was telling the stories. Hey, you ever go over a friend's house to eat and the food just ain't no good?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So this song just took me back to, man, this dude can really weave a tale.
Yeah, he was definitely doing just that.
Yeah, I love the song.
Yeah, same here, man. I just, like you said, I'm hanging on every word. Like, oh man, did she set him up? And then it's like, like I said, when you're listening, you actually put yourself in his shoes. So it's like, damn, man, have I ever gone to a chick's house and maybe she was thought like she was trying to set me up or anything like that? And I'm like, okay, well, damn, is this what these guys go through on a day to day in a place like Queensbridge? And then you go to track 10, QU Hectic. And like I said, if Trife Life had me scared, QU Hectic didn't help. Because I'm like, yo, this sounds like something out of a horror movie. And I know I keep saying it, but it just really does. It doesn't sound like something that you like I'm trying to picture Prodigy coming to the studio. He sits down, all right, man, what you got? And Havoc hits the button, and this spooky ass, shit that you would think that you might hear on Alfred Hitchcock, he's playing it, and it's like, wow, okay, so I'm supposed to rhyme over this. But then when you put his rhymes with this music, man, I was blown away. And even now, listening to it now, man, it doesn't sound dated at all. It sounds very, very unique for the times, and you can put yourself in the times and understand exactly where he's coming from. What did you think about Q? Oh, and going back to something you said a little earlier, I think this is another track where Havoc is right there with Prodigy, right there with him, rhyme for rhyme, bar for bar.
Now, the only thing I disagree with you on is what you said at the top of the show, where you said they had distinct style. A lot of times I was like, I don't know who's rapping.
I could tell them apart.
When I first got, I was like, man, I don't know. But then as I got into it, I was like, okay, that's his voice. But some of them, I was just like, man, dude killed it. But then, I mean, now it's obvious. But when I first, started the scene, I didn't know. But yes, I agree. He held his own on this one. Also, that song was the first time I heard the phrase "niggas bleed just like us." So I don't know if he coined that or not, but that's the first time I ever heard it.
Hey, well, maybe he coined it first and Biggie took it from him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But so that definitely happened. Here's a question for you.
Go ahead.
Name a song that Havoc out-rhymed P.
I think QU Hectic, I think he might have got him, but in saying that, I think he was very, and I think very highly of P as a MC. God rest his soul. And Havoc is a phenomenal producer, and one that, you know, doesn't necessarily get mentioned a lot when you start talking about some of the great producers from that era, or in hip hop in general. But he ain't no slouch behind the mic. He's very, very good. So I think if I say he got him on, if I say Havoc got him on QU Hectic, it's barely. But I think even the tracks that Prodigy rhyme better than Havoc on, I don't think. I mean, if Prodigy was at a 9, Havoc was at 8.5. Like it wasn't like he didn't wash him. You know what I'm saying? That's where I see it.
Okay, I mean, I could see an argument for QU Hectic. Ain't nothing soft or sweet. I lift you off your feet. Wanna cock back the heat, hold cruise retreat. You could argue, you could debate that he got him on Eye for an Eye. You could debate it.
Well, you know what it is, man. I get so lost in Raekwon and Nas that I almost forget about, and I'm almost ashamed to say. And it's not like they got crazy. It's not like their verses are bad, because they're not bad by any stretch of imagination. But Nas and Raekwon were just incredible, and we just spent 5 minutes talking about just their verse, but it was crazy. But nah, you're right. You could make the case. You get no argument from me on that.
Yeah, man. Try to infiltrate my court. Did up in New York. My brain is packing criminal thoughts. Get your life lost. Never found again, my friend. Mission completed. Why'd you drop it less than 10? On my road to the riches. Hitting snitches off of mad stitches. Your last resting place to be a ditch, kid. No one can stop me. Try your style sloppy. You want to be, but you're just an imitation copy. I don't know. But, you know, it doesn't matter. Nas and Ray killed me.
No doubt. So then we go to track 11. Speaking of Raekwon reappears on the track Right Back At You. This is featuring Ghostface, Raekwon, and Big Noyd. What did you think about this one, man? Jesus. This is
probably my second favorite song on the album.
Wow.
So I didn't really look to see who was going to be on this. I just knew that Nas was going to be on it, and I knew he was on the third song. Everything else, I was like, let me just listen. And this track is one of my favorite tracks. This track seemed like something's coming. Mm-hmm. We don't know. We don't know what it is, but it's coming. It's in the shadows, and it ain't good. Something's coming. You're in a dark alley, and then this track start playing. And then the first thing that my man says, "Run for your life."
Right.
You can get your heat or whatever. We could die together.
Right. No, we can't die together. I'm not trying to die.
So, no, man. And then, because you got the real Ragu on this. For those of you playing at home, Ragu is RAGU, Ray and Ghost United. That's when Ray and Ghost is going back and forth and and making one verse. So you got that. Why you want to end your little life like this? And then you get Noyd. They let Noyd finish it,
right?
Which I was like, I'm not mad at it.
Nope, not at all.
But I love the song. Mostly, the track just sets. The track is crazy, and I didn't say this earlier, and we'll always go back to iPhone 9 because I just love that song. But Havoc did a real good job of emulating the RZA vibe on that track, and also on Right Back. It's like he seems like, well, you know, I got somebody from the Wool here. Let me see if I can put a little Resurrector in here, because this is like an airy-ass 36 Chambers.
It is
Tears / Can It Be All type shit.
Yeah, it truly is. He gave it to him, man, and it was like you said. I think one of the things that I appreciate so much about this track is that you got Ghost and Ray going back and forth, and when they're trading verses like that, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find anybody else in hip hop that does it better than the two of them going back and forth like that. Mm-hmm. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a fan. I would challenge anybody to find me two other MCs that go back and forth, trading verses, finishing each other's verse in a hot ass song, and tell me that they do it better than Ghost and Ray. I just don't know that they're there. I mean, I could be wrong, and I'm not just being a prisoner of the moment. But if you think that there's somebody out there, hit me up. Let me know.
I can only think of some people that's close.
Yeah, it's some that are close, but better? Nah, I don't see it. But yeah, like you said, the production is crazy. Noid finishes, which I didn't mind at all either. But this was, man, when this joint comes on, this is another favorite. It's not my favorite, but it is one of my favorites on the album. And then you go to the the Grave Prelude, which always is funny to me looking back on it now, 25 years later, listening to the gunshots, because someone actually gets shot and then you hear guys scrambling, trying to get him to the hospital, all the stuff like that. The interludes always, and they're not meant to be funny, but I guess yeah, get Noid, get him out of here.
Damn.
Somebody call 911.
Oh man. Oh, shit.
So,
don't fall asleep on me.
Yeah, don't fall asleep and you hear him kind of talking to him like he's about to die, and it's just like they're talking. He's shot and he's talking to them, and they're like, "Yo, you can't die. Don't close your eyes." That type of thing. So those skits are kind of funny to me. They're not meant to be funny, but like I said, it's 25 years later, so it's funny. So that's the Grave Prelude, and then we go into the Cradle to the Grave. Oh man, this is another banger. What'd you think about Cradle to the Grave, man?
Cradle to the Grave is a really good song, and I think Havoc might have shined the best on this song, but I will say this has to be my least favorite song on the album.
Really? And
the thing is there's conservatively 74 songs on this album. and out of all of the songs, this is my least favorite, and on a scale of 1 to 10, I give this one like an 8.
Okay, so it's not a skip for you.
Nah, I'm gonna listen to it,
gotcha.
But it's like if you put it up against every other song on this album, it's the one that's not as dope as everything else.
You know what's interesting? You say
maybe
about
I'll
that?
say a 7, and everything else is from 9 to 8 or 7.5.
Gotcha. It makes sense. I say the same thing about Party Over.
Party Over is like my third best favorite song.
Really? I
love Party Over.
And I don't know if it's because it's the last song, but it's just like it's not a skip for me. It's just my least favorite. But even in calling it my least favorite, I'm putting it right there, like you said, 7.5, and everything else is like 8 and above. So it's not whack by any stretch of imagination. It would be the best song on a lot of other people's trash ass albums. But yeah, I'm with you on that. Cradle to the Grave, I love that joint, man. I think, like you said, Havoc is right there. He's right there with Prodigy. And then we go into the aforementioned track 14, Drink Away the Pain, Situations, with Q-Tip, who actually produced this track. A little fun on this one, man. They talking about, their exploits with liquor and, drinking away the pain, and Q-Tip comes on. He's talking about gear and shouting out all the apparel companies. What do you think about this one, man?
I enjoyed this song more so when the album dropped.
Okay.
I think this song probably isn't. I hate saying didn't age as well as everything else. But I love songs where they do personifications of other things. And they do. I eat that shit up because it's something that it's tangible, and I'm like, oh, I can see how you did that, and it shows how talented you are to be able to do it and make it make sense. Guess not, and guess was hot. So guess what? What guess took the jigger and jigged in the gut. It took me way too long to figure out what Danny was.
Yeah, same here. Because I didn't drink or anything, so like I had to.
Lame.
Yeah, man, it was 95. I wasn't drinking in 95.
You were in college. How you not drinking?
I didn't drink the whole time I was in college. I told you that.
Fucking lame.
I was a star, man. I played football. I was the Miak Mac.
Me too. It was called Tecmo Bowl.
I was the Miak Mac.
I used to be in love with Mr. E and J. The fuck with him no more. Now fuck with Tank Ray. Yeah. Yeah, man. I really like the song. It reminded me of Nori's Married to Marijuana and a couple other songs. And Q-Tip didn't screw it up. You know, he had some sleepers in there. He mentioned Walker Ware. People didn't know Walker Ware.
Allie Hansen.
British Walkers. You know, so Nautica's in there. So I'm rolling. But he never. They never put this out to really do anything. I mean, I guess you couldn't really do anything with this. Product, Havoc's was okay.
Yeah, I think I'll agree with you on that. I think his verse was okay. Prodigy and Q-Tip really, I think, came through on this one. But I'm with you. I love it when you can personify something. And it's a track that's relatable. You know, you can relate to it. And like I said, I didn't drink, but I had to. Most of the liquors and stuff that he talked about, I knew about. And then obviously talking about gear and stuff, half of that gear I couldn't afford or didn't wear. But it was still good to hear it personified and still shout it out in the song nonetheless. Then we get to track 15, Shook Ones Part 2. Man, this song
got you stuck off the realness.
This song right here, man, Shook Ones Part 2 is very, very unique. And I'll say this, even to this day, Shook Ones, something happened to me on 3 separate occasions. I was in a club 3 separate times. Shook Ones 2 came on, and I almost got bum rushed by a bunch of women running to the dance floor.
Man, that's crazy.
I don't know what it is about this song and women dancing or getting to the dance floor. And I really believe that if you're a woman and you know this song like the back of your hand, you might be a little
sexy.
Yeah, that's sexy. And you're thugged out.
Oh, cool.
Which ain't nothing wrong with that. But man, this is one of the most vicious tracks, hardcore, whatever you want to describe it, man. It's one of my favorites on the album. It's a joint that never gets old, man. I mean, even though he did say no matter how much loot I get, I'm staying in the projects forever, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. I would think you want to.
Maybe he's gonna buy it or build it up, man. How dare you, man? He's trying to make the place better.
But
what a jerk.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm getting out of projects. But yeah, man, I love this joint, man. I could go on and on and on talking about it, man. It is one of my favorites on the album. Probably, I guess we could probably say one of their biggest hits.
Definitely.
Yeah. What'd you think about Shook Ones too, man?
There had a lot of songs on here that should have been.
This is true,
good, but it came out in the wrong time. It came out before people accepted this type of music as dope, but they invented this kind of music. So they had to wait for everybody else to catch up. Another Havoc shining John Forever Rhyme, my right, is 25 to Life. Nah, this song is incredible, man. I remember this come on. I'm like, now, what did part one sound like? Because I know, I'm like, but now I will say this: I do like part one better than part two.
I can't say that. And to be honest, it's been a minute since I've even heard part one.
Yeah. Now, 60%, maybe 50% of part one is part two. Yeah, maybe 40%. But I do like part one better slightly. But this song is crazy. I mean, it introduced the phrase halfway crooks.
Mm-hmm.
But so did part one. But most people haven't heard part one, so I gotta say this is for the populace. The same shit is on part one. You should. There's no such thing as that.
Right.
But nah, this is crazy. This should have been, as far as sequencing, earlier in the album.
Right.
This is also like a introduction of who they are and where they're from. You know, official Queensbridge murderers. This is. I would have put this a little bit higher up. I would have put stuff like Up North Trip and QU Hectic down a little. I would have put this up there with Give Up the Goods. So, but no, it's probably the strongest song in their arsenal, including Quiet Storm and everything else. This is it. This is their it ain't hard to tell.
Right. You're right, man. I agree, man. It's interesting because Prodigy said, you know, that they did Shook One's part one, and it was used as a promotional single, and it got a lukewarm response. And so he said basically it was like, man, fuck this, we're gonna come back. And they went back in the studio and they did Shook One's part two. And I'm still trying to figure out how they got a lukewarm response for Shook One's one, when, you know, it was just
like I said a couple seconds ago, people had to catch up to what they were doing. They not only did they introduce you to the done language, they gave you this style, and you had to listen to it and understand it and understand how dope it was. And that's pretty much what happened. Part one came out and people was like, and then a year later, part two come out, and they're like, oh, this is crazy. They're like, yeah, we tried to tell you.
Yeah, we tried to tell y'all the first time. Yeah. Rock you in your face, stab your brain with your nose bone.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, this joint, man, it is incredible. Like I said, one of my favorites on the album. It's probably my second favorite song on the album. And then it closes out with Party Over, the aforementioned Party Over, featuring Annoyed.
Come on. Listen, I think the reason why I love this song so much, this song is my One Time for Your Mind.
Okay.
And I'm the only person that anybody knows is One Time for Your Mind is their favorite song off of Your Mind.
This is correct. And we still haven't figured it out.
And for those of you people listening, hopefully, I'm only talking to the assholes here. I say it's my favorite. That is not me saying I think it's the best song.
You said it's your favorite.
It's my favorite. This is other songs that's on that album. I'm like, oh, this is the shit. This is way better than the song that I like the most. But I get a certain feeling when that song comes on. Same thing here. This is more of as much as Eye for an Eye and what's my other shit? Right Back at You. This is more of an old school posse cut. where they're like, they do the verse, whatever, party's over, and then the other person start rhyming. It's like they just it sounds like they in a basement and passing around a mic.
Right.
And that's my roots. That's my hip hop. That's where I come from. You just sitting around rhyming, then the other person rhyming, and it's just a real simple beat that anybody could have did on the lunchroom table. And it's just, it's like it's more of a more so than those other songs that I mentioned. This song is like a cipher.
That's a good point. That's a very good point, because that's exactly how it sounds.
And that's why I like it so much. It's like it's throwback, and they did it in the same vein of the NWA and ATL, where it's the last song. So when they had the last song and DLC had the grand finale.
yes.
This was called Party Over. Like, look, so the album's done. Party over, man.
Party over. Tell the rest of the crew.
You know, so all of that put together, that's why I was like, man, this shit is dope. And I'm gonna tell you another reason. When you have an album like this, and what makes this album so dope is you have all these tracks and none of them are whack. Where you had like Illmatic that had 4 songs on it. So Illmatic was 7 minutes long. This shit is like fucking 3 hours. And you listen to it, most people, after Shook One's Part 2 is going off, they forget about this album.
Right.
Because you'll be listening to it forever anyway.
Exactly.
And your jam just went off. And that also happened to me. And then, but sometimes, you know, you not by the radio, you cooking, you cleaning, you're outside, you're doing something, and you let it rock. And then this song come on, and you remember how dope it is, because this is the one song you listen to the least.
Right.
Because you're like, oh, Shook One's Part 2 went off. All right, let me turn it off and let me put something else in. Let me go ahead and do what else I was going to do. You forget that it's another song.
Right.
But sometimes when you let the thing play, you're like, oh shit!
Like, yeah, that shit is tight. Shit is tight.
So that's also why.
Oh, no doubt. They this album, man, its running time is 66 minutes. So you're right, and even back then, that seemed to be kind of long. But for me, I guess when I listen to it, I don't see it like that. I just because I put it on and I just play it all the way through. This album obviously had critical acclaim. It got them back on the map, if you will. The Source gave this album, as you mentioned, 4.5 mics. So
they gave it 5.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're scoring at home under the scoring mic system, how many mics does this album get, and do you consider it to be a classic?
I consider it to be. I don't think it's really close to a timeless classic. But I wouldn't put it in the timeless classic category. It's really close. It's definitely a modern day classic. If there's anything in between modern day classic and timeless classic, that's what this is.
True indeed.
If I was giving it mics based on I would give it 4. Might be 4.5, but definitely 4.
Okay.
Definitely 4. I'm gonna be stingy with the mics, because
I'm stingy with the mics too.
If 5 is the greatest, I don't think this is half from great. I mean, it could be though.
I think it is.
It could be a 4.5, but it's definitely a 4.
I think it is. I think it's a half away from just being that right there. So I'm gonna give it 4.5. And it is pushing it, man, because this album, it continues to get better as the years go on. If you'd asked me 5 years ago at the 20-year mark, I would have said the same thing, but I might have told you that I loved it a little bit more.
Here's the thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I like every song on here.
Mm-hmm, same.
But I can recognize two things. How someone could not like damn near half of these songs.
Right.
And I can also recognize, I don't want to call some of the songs filler, but you could trim the fat a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
And because of that, I can't put it as a timeless classic, because a timeless classic, like, man, nah, it's just what it is.
Mm-hmm.
It's just this. It's not like, I mean, do you need Cradle to the Grave? Do you need Trife Life? Not really. But are they dope? Yep.
Right.
It's just they just got really good filler. Their filler is better than other people's albums. Right.
Oh, no question. No question.
But for them, it's I could take maybe 3 or 4 songs off of here, and then I take 3 or 4 songs off of here plus the two of the preludes, and it could probably be a timeless classic.
Okay. I definitely agree. I think I could make it a modern day classic. 4.5 mics from me. I can't really concede. Now, anybody say 4 mics, I'm cool. 4.5. If you said 5, I'd have to ask you more questions, because I would want to know what do you consider a 5 mic album. But that's no knock on this album. I think this is a phenomenal album. And again, given the fact that it's turned 25 years old and it still sounds just as dope as it did back in 1995, I think that says a lot.
Hot take.
Go ahead.
Hot take. The Infamous is better than Ready to Die.
I would agree. That's not so. That's lukewarm for me.
That's a hot take for everybody.
Well, you and I have talked about it. I just, for as much as I like Ready to Die, not take that back. I love Ready to Die. It's not a 5 mic album. I think if Biggie had lived, I don't think he would have gotten 5 mics. I think
Did he get 5 mics when it came out?
Well, I think he got 4.5, and they rescored it to a 5. But I think a lot of that is caught up in the hype, and that album I think has 2 or 3 tracks that I literally could just take off the album. Legitimate skips for me. But yeah, this one is a dope one, man. And again, 25 years. Rest in peace to Prodigy, obviously, and Havoc is still here doing his thing, man. Before we get out of here, man, tell folks where they can catch you at, man. And of course, we got more podcasts coming. We got some stuff that's gonna really piss a whole bunch of people off. But tell folks where they can find you, man.
You can find me in quarantine. Catch me on the couch. Chilling. Now listen. If you wanna tweet something, I'll probably still read it. But it's at I am eclectik. Can't believe they still got my shit banned. On Instagram.
I don't even know how you got banned.
Listen. But on Instagram, it's eclectik. That's ECLECTIK. Everywhere else is eclectic. I don't know. But check out the podcast, Eclectic Discussion Podcast. Check out the podcast, Encyclopedia Hip Hop Podcast. If you also want to go on your Instabibble, your Instagram, check out the official _one gotta go. Don't go to any other ones. Mm-hmm. Official _one gotta go. Shark biters out there. Niggas been off eclectic shit. so yeah, that's what's up.
No doubt. Well, you guys know how to find me. Obviously, you've been listening this long. The podcast is available everywhere where podcasts are free. Like I said, we got more coming, but we're gonna put a bow on this one. It's in the books. the infamous 25 years later. That's going to do it for us. So for my man Eclectic, I'm your boy 12 Kyle. We'll catch you guys next time. 5,000.
Rah.
Chill.